entrepreneurs out there, you have a job to pull people out of this and into a new world that is a better world. I think entrepreneurs out there, you have a job, and it is more important job than you had before the crisis. You have a job to pull people out of this and into a new world that is a better world. And that may mean you've got to change your business a little or a lot. It may mean your direction was perfect before and you're just going to have to execute better. But as an entrepreneur, I think you've got a responsibility, and that responsibility is to push as hard as you possibly can and make something great happen, and lead us to a future that's better than our current situation, better than the past. And that's always what an entrepreneur does.
Sure.
They're always leading us to a better future, but right now, it's lead us to a really great future. Oh, and as entrepreneurs, if you're worried about cash, get your cash from your customers. The venture capitalists are shoring up their existing portfolios. They are not going to be really anxious to meet with people. We are actually, most of my companies took my advice, which was raise as much as you can and don't spend it. And that was the advice I gave them for the last 2 years. So I think most of our companies are pretty well shored up. So we are looking very actively for new investments and where to put it. I think if I were an entrepreneur right now and I'm not making money yet, I would cut my team back so that I'm as close to breaking even as possible so I can live as long as possible. I would call up all my customers and say, hey, can you pay me a little early?
Sure.
Because I'm going to need the cash, and maybe redo my business model so I'm paid sooner.
Sure.
And then I would just keep delighting my customers so that customer kept paying me. If it's just an idea, I don't really want to hear it until you've written your business plan.
Got it.
Whether it's a plan or a deck or whatever, I want you to have thought through your business. Then you can just send me an email, tim@draper.vc. Okay. And I get a lot of emails, but if it's a business plan, we look them all over. If it's just like, hey, I got an idea,
right.
I usually just delete it. And
Sure.
So I encourage you to, if you want to use my email address, tim@draper.vc, and that is my email address, the only one I use, send me a business plan. And in that business plan, get to the point. I can read fiction in other places. I don't need to read your fiction. All I want to know is, what do you do? How are you going to make money? Why are you the people that are the most important to do it? And maybe something about the competition or the market. Market size is always helpful. But that's what I'm looking for. And so send that to me. I think the viewers should embrace this as a challenge and a sociological experiment, and take the best parts of it and eschew the worst parts of it. Things that don't make sense, make sure we get rid of those. The things that are great from this, make sure that we highlight those so that they don't get thrown out when people say, oh, that thing that failed, that was a failed experiment where we locked ourselves down and the whole economy fell apart. Well, don't let the world throw out the good things that happened during this COVID crisis. Make sure that those things get accelerated. Here's a way to look at the world. It's the optimists that make everything happen.
Yeah.
It's the pessimists that say, well, you were wrong over there. They don't notice that, hey, we just created a flying car. Instead, they just said, yeah, but but it wasn't the flying car you were talking about before. So there's a a pessimist. There's an important part of life, and that is the pessimist. They point out the problems, but it's never been. Elon Musk is no pessimist.
No.
The greatest creators of the world were all optimists. So
Sure.
be an optimist. It's more fun. You have to have a thicker skin,
Right.
but it's more fun, and you will accomplish so much more. So
Wow.
maybe those are my last words.